My wife was out of town on business when she called me late at night. I thought maybe she missed me, but as soon as I answered, I could tell something was wrong. Her voice was thin, pleading. Honey, put me on speaker. The next second, my world imploded. Ethan, I'm talking to you. Why aren't you saying anything? My wife, Bella, asked again. I usually love the way she said my name, but this time it was laced with a tension that made my blood run cold. My mind was a complete blank. I had no idea what to say. Before she left, she'd told me she had to schmooze a client to close the deal, that I shouldn't wait up. But I couldn't shake the unease. I'd texted her, let me know when you're back at the hotel. We have to video chat. I never expected this. I've been waiting in bed, and this was the call I got. Bella's request made no sense. I was so confused I thought maybe she'd had too much to drink and dialed the wrong number. Just talk, she insisted, but it was the sound in the background that was killing me, a low, rhythmic creaking like an invisible needle stitching itself directly into my heart. Bella, honey, what are you doing? Nothing. Just wanted to call you. I pulled the phone away from my ear and stared at the screen. It was her number. The contact name read, My Bella. What the hell was going on? What was she doing over there? Was it possible? The questions formed in my head, but I had no answers. And honestly, I was terrified to find them. Babe, what are you doing? It sounds off. I tried to keep my voice steady to stop my mind from racing, but the sound from her end echoed in my skull. Does it? I bit down on my lip, hard, trying to keep my own breathing silent. A moment later, I heard her breath hitch, her rhythm breaking, and she was in a hotel hundreds of miles away. Yes, it does. I can hear it. You can't hear anything, she said dismissively. I was about to lose my mind. Was she treating me like an idiot? Anyone could hear it. Why was she trying to hide it? I heard you. The words caught in my throat. I couldn't say it. Ethan, your voice is so quiet. Why don't you just put it on speaker? She pleaded again, almost sobbing. Shit. No matter how much I tried to deny it, I couldn't do that. Was she asking me to torture myself? Ethan, answer me. What are you doing? If she were standing in front of me right now, I swear I would have slapped her. What the fuck do you think I'm doing? Bella, you got it backwards. That's my question for you. I was shouting now, a raw, desperate sound. I thought it might shock them into stopping. It did the opposite. A man's voice, smug and familiar, cut in. Ethan, your wife's with me. You have any questions for her? Now's the time to ask. I recognized the voice. It was Frank Zimmerman from my office. I froze. His words hit me like a lightning strike, shattering what was left of my composure. How could this be happening? Bella, honey, Frank's voice oozed. Tell your husband how good I am. She didn't answer. Maybe she was disgusted, or maybe she was too ashamed. The next sound I heard was the sharp, clean slap of a hand against skin. It hit my wife, but I felt the sting burn across my own heart. Go on, tell him. Your husband's waiting, Frank taunted. In that instant, a wave of humiliation I'd never known washed over me, and my tone shifted from shock to fury. Zimmerman, you have a problem with me. You deal with me. You touch my wife again, and I swear to God, I'll kill you. You hear me? Frank just laughed. You better book a flight, buddy. If you hurry, you might get here in time to watch the main event. Huh, you son of a bitch. I seethed, my face contorting with rage. I felt like a caged animal. You want to prove you're a man? Let's go one-on-one. Using a woman to get at me. What kind of coward are you? I'm not threatening her, Frank said, his voice dripping with condescension. She's here because she wants to be. Isn't that right? He turned his attention back to Bella. Your husband's losing it. Guy has no self-control. Huh, Ethan? Bella stammered, caught in an impossible position. I couldn't listen anymore. I didn't want to. Before she could finish, I cut her off, my voice a low growl. Zimmerman, you bastard, if you lay another hand on my wife, I will end you. I mean it. I thought my threat might have some effect. I was wrong. It only seemed to egg him on. I heard him slap her again, harder this time. Then again. Bella, you little vixen, he grunted. You should be with me. Look at that worthless husband of yours. The string of degrading sounds finally broke me. My hand clenched into a fist, and I shot up in bed. Ethan, are you crazy? My wife's voice, sharp with fear, pulled me from the nightmare. She was standing right in front of me, having just stumbled back a few steps. I blinked, my eyes adjusting to the dim light of the bedroom. It took me a second to realize I'd been dreaming. I had a nightmare. I mumbled, my heart still pounding. I was waiting for you and must have dozed off. You scared the hell out of me, she said, placing a hand over her heart and taking a deep breath. It was clear I'd genuinely rattled her. Trying to smooth things over, I got out of bed and wrapped my arms around her. Hey, you're back. Where did you get in? Bella just gave me a cold look and pushed me away. Are you blind? I just walked in the door. Her indifference stung. I figured she was mad that I'd fallen asleep instead of picking her up from the airport. I took her coat from her hands, trying to be helpful. It must have been a long trip. You relax, I'll go get us something to eat. She didn't respond, just grabbed her rolling suitcase and headed straight for the bedroom. But my attention wasn't on her attitude. It was on the way she walked. Something was off. It was subtle, a slight awkwardness in her gait. I couldn't put my finger on what it was, but it looked strange. Lately, I'd been on edge, and that nightmare had left a deep psychological gash. Now, I couldn't help but feel a seed of suspicion toward my wife. I went downstairs and got us some takeout from a 24-hour joint nearby. A large pepperoni pizza, an order of buffalo wings, and a side salad. I needed a drink tonight, partly to calm her down, but mostly to calm myself down. The pressure had been building for a while. A few weeks ago, Frank and I had a disagreement over a project. Things came to a head at a company team-building retreat. Fueled by alcohol, our argument turned physical. I have a short fuse, and I ended up punching him in front of everyone. He just cowered, didn't even fight back, just muttered a bunch of threats under his breath, something about how he'd get back at me through my wife. I was so furious, I almost broke his teeth. At the time, I brushed it off as drunken rambling. I never took it seriously. But after the nightmare I just had, it was clear the threat had lodged itself deep in my subconscious. The truth is, it all comes down to Bella being so damn beautiful. She has this stunning face and an incredible sense of style. She always dresses in a way that's powerfully sexy, like a modern-day femme fatale. Everyone envies me, saying I didn't just marry a woman, I married a goddess. At first, I was proud, but then I noticed she dressed that way all the time, for work, for a trip to the mall, even on business trips. And she has this natural charisma that draws men to her. It started to bother me. A man wants his wife to be that way only for him, not for the rest of the world. I'm no different. So, whenever she went out looking like $1,000,000, a knot of insecurity would tighten in my stomach. Especially now, after this trip. While I got back upstairs, I heard the shower running. I set down the food and listened to the sound of the water. An urge, raw and insistent, pulled me toward the bathroom door. It had been a few days, and for me, that was an eternity. My plan had been to have some food, a few drinks, and then, well, absence makes the heart grow fonder, right? But suddenly, I didn't want to wait. I reached for the doorknob, eager to join her, but it wouldn't turn. It was locked from the inside. We were the only two people in the apartment. Why would she lock the door to shower? The unusual act felt like a red flag. Honey, I'm back with the food. Open up. Her reply was sharp, impatient. Can't you hear I'm in the shower? I can, but why'd you lock the door? She didn't answer. The only reply was the continued rush of water. I stood there, listening, a sour feeling churning in my gut. First the strange walk, and now this frantic scrubbing. The suspicion grew stronger. She stayed in there for another 20 minutes. While I waited, I cracked open a beer and started drinking alone. When she finally emerged, wrapped in a towel, I gestured toward the food. She ignored me, turning and walking straight into the bedroom. I figured she was just going to get changed, but she went in and never came back out. I couldn't stand it anymore. Bella, I called out, what are you doing? I've been waiting for you. Come have a bite. You go ahead, she called back, her voice muffled. I'm exhausted. I'm going to bed. She'd rejected me again. Her coldness, her lack of enthusiasm. It all fed the gnawing question in my mind. Had she really cheated on me? The thought hit me like another physical blow. I didn't have concrete proof, but all the signs were pointing in one direction, and I couldn't ignore them. Honestly, if she cheated on me, I'd have to get revenge. The next morning, I was ready to go, but Bella was still at her vanity, meticulously applying her makeup. She'd been at it for ages. Are you coming or not? I finally asked, my patience wearing thin. We're going to be late. She continued tracing her eyebrows, her eyes fixed on the mirror. You go ahead. Don't wait for me. We worked at the same company. She was in business development, and we always commuted together. It was already getting late, but she seemed completely unbothered. It was both baffling and infuriating. You're not waiting? You'll take the L. I was on a business trip, I got in late. I can clock in a little later today. The company did have that policy. If you were traveling or worked overtime, you got some leeway the next day. Her excuse was plausible, so I didn't question it further. All right then, I'm heading out. See you at the office. She didn't answer, didn't even glance at me. To be honest, I'd rather she go to work without a stitch of makeup on, looking as plain as possible. But women are wired to love beauty, and no matter how many times I told her, she never listened. She always did her own thing, dressing up like she was heading to a gala, not a cubicle. On the drive to the office, my mind started churning. Sure, she could go in late, but wouldn't it make more sense to sleep in for an extra hour or two? Why wake up at the same time as me just to do her makeup? And if her makeup was done, why not just ride with me? It didn't add up. A vague sense of dread started to creep in. I don't know why, but I've been feeling restless and paranoid lately, and it was getting worse. The first thing on the agenda at work was the morning huddle. It was one of those dumb corporate rituals, and it was Frank Zimmerman's brilliant idea. We never used to have them. We just had a weekly team meeting. But at one of those meetings last year, Frank started sucking up to the boss, going on and on about the benefits of a daily huddle, how it aligns everyone's thinking, boosts morale, builds team cohesion, creates corporate culture, blah, blah, blah. The boss loved it and implemented it on the spot. Normally, I'd be one of the first to speak up in these meetings, but today I was silent. The reason? Frank Zimmerman wasn't there. After the meeting, I caught up with my colleague, Jenna. Hey, where's Frank? I asked, trying to sound casual. He's the one who pushed for this stupid meeting, and he doesn't even show up. What gives? Jenna gave me a playful smile. Oh, you didn't know, Ethan? He's on a business trip. Guess he's not back yet. What? He's on a business trip? Since when? I was genuinely surprised. Not that Frank couldn't travel for work, but the timing felt incredibly suspicious. He didn't tell you? I guess it's because of that time you punched him at the retreat. Ha ha ha. Jenna laughed, then picked up her laptop and walked out. My wife was on a business trip. Frank was on a business trip. Was this a coincidence? I stood alone in the conference room, my mind reeling. My head was buzzing with questions and suspicions, all of them colliding with each other. And on top of it all, there was last night's dream. If I connected all the dots and still managed to stay calm, I'd have to be a saint. I couldn't let myself think about it anymore. I rubbed my temples, feeling a migraine coming on. I decided to go downstairs for a smoke to clear my head. As fate would have it, just as I reached the elevator bank, the door slid open. Frank Zimmerman stepped out, and right behind him was Bella. My entire nervous system went into overdrive. Seeing them together like that, at that exact moment, all my vague fears solidified into a terrifying certainty. Frank saw me and froze for a second. Then his expression shifted into a slick, friendly smile. Ethan, hey man, where you headed? After our fight, and especially after the dream he'd starred in, the sight of him made my stomach turn. I couldn't even be bothered to answer. What's with the long face? Somebody piss in your cornflakes. Frank's smile widened. Someone proposes a daily huddle, and then doesn't even show up. Total hypocrite. You tell me if that's not annoying. I retorted, my voice dripping with sarcasm. If we weren't at the office, I would have punched him again. All right, I was on a business trip. Got back late last night. Extenuating circumstances, you know. As he said this, he shot a quick, almost imperceptible glance at my wife, followed by a sickeningly smug grin. I wanted to grab Bella and demand an explanation right there, but she simply sidestepped me without a word, her face a mask of indifference. Watching them walk into the office, one after the other, a new question burned in my mind. Did they come here together? Was that why she had insisted I leave without her? And what exactly happened after I left? Some things you just can't think about. The more I thought, the angrier I got, until even the cigarette in my hand tasted like ash. I tried to force my mind to stop, to not jump to conclusions, but the more I tried to control it, the worse it got. I felt like I was going insane. At lunch, I couldn't hold it in any longer. I looked across the table at Bella. So, Frank was on your business trip too? Why are you suddenly asking about that? She asked, a look of surprise on her face. She clearly hadn't expected the question. I thought she'd just give me a straight answer, but instead, she threw the question back at me. Just tell me if he was there or not. He said he was at the elevator this morning, didn't he? So I guess he was on a trip. I'm asking you, I said, putting down my fork and looking her straight in the eye. She hesitated, then looked down at her plate. I don't know. He works in your department, not mine. It has nothing to do with me. I felt like she was stonewalling me. So you weren't together? She kept her head down, focusing on her food. He's in your department. Why are you even asking me this? Have you lost your mind? Her answer left me speechless. I knew her well enough to know that if I pushed any further, she'd explode. We were in the company cafeteria, and the last thing I wanted was to cause a scene and become office gossip. I picked up my fork again and ate in silence, my mind racing. A few minutes later, her phone buzzed. She answered, said a few quick ahas, and then stood up. I'm done. A colleague asked me to go to the mall with her. I'm heading out. My trust in her was completely shot. I lost my appetite and decided to follow her. It was a bad idea. A really bad idea. Our office building was part of a large complex in the business district, connected to a mall with all sorts of high-end stores. It was the perfect place for a post-lunch stroll. But Bella didn't go into the mall. Instead, she walked straight to the crosswalk. As she was walking, she suddenly stopped and glanced back over her shoulder, as if she sensed something. Luckily, I hadn't left the building yet. If she'd seen me, it would have been all over. Just as I suspected, she wasn't going shopping. I watched her cross the street and head directly toward the Lakeshore Grand Hotel. Saying you're going shopping when you're really going to a hotel? It was a blatant lie. I instinctively pulled out my phone, zoomed in, and snapped a picture. This was evidence. Evidence I would need for the revenge I was already planning. But that wasn't the worst part. The most infuriating thing was watching my wife, clicking her high heels on the pavement, reach the hotel entrance just as Frank Zimmerman emerged from inside. He walked up to her, a greasy smile on his face, whispered something in her ear, and then the two of them walked briskly into the lobby together. In that moment, my entire world collapsed. I couldn't believe it. My wife was cheating on me with my mortal enemy. When had she become this kind of woman? I wanted to run over there and tear them both apart, but my feet felt like they were cemented to the ground. I couldn't move. I could only stare at the hotel, my thoughts a tangled, chaotic mess. It took a long time for me to regain some semblance of composure. I walked back to the office like a ghost. I couldn't focus on work for the rest of the day. My mind was consumed by thoughts of Bella. I spent the afternoon staring blankly out the window, a zombie in a swivel chair. When she returned, she was of course with Frank. They were laughing and talking, looking for all the world like a couple in love. Seeing them together was like a knife in my heart. Lately, with me, Bella had been as cold as a mountain glacier. But with Frank, she was a roaring fire. The contrast was devastating. If we weren't at work, I would have confronted her on the spot. I would have demanded to know why she betrayed me, and why, of all people, she chose that pig Frank. But I held back. This wasn't something I wanted the entire company to know about. The humiliation would be unbearable. I'd have to quit. I waited until we were in the car, about to leave the parking garage after work. You and Frank seem to be getting pretty close, I said, trying to keep my voice even. When did you two get so friendly? Bella shot me a sideways glance. Ethan, what are you trying to say? Nothing. Just asking. Can't I ask? I feigned nonchalance, but inside I was drowning in acid. She pulled down the sun visor mirror and started fixing her lipstick, her voice laced with irritation. You asked me at lunch, and now you're asking me again. Are you ever going to let it go? The only reason I keep asking is because I think something's going on between you two. My words seemed to flip a switch. Ethan, what the hell is your problem? My problem? Do you really want me to spell out for you? I couldn't stay calm any longer. I stared at her, my eyes full of accusation. You're accusing me? She shot back, but she wouldn't meet my gaze. What was that if not guilt? She was hiding something. I'm not just accusing you. I'm accusing both of you. I wasn't going to beat around the bush anymore. I had proof. She snapped the visor shut and unbuckled her seatbelt. You're sick. I'm done. As she reached for the door handle, I let out a cold laugh. What? Going to meet Frank for another round? Wasn't this afternoon enough for you? Her face went pale with fury. You're a lunatic, she hissed. You're beyond help. Did I hit a nerve? I love you so much, Bella. Why would you betray me? And with him, what does he have that I don't? I truly couldn't understand it. Ethan, don't you dare make baseless accusations. If you don't have proof, then shut your mouth. You're seriously sick. You need help, she yelled. Then she threw open the door, slammed it shut, and stormed off. Watching her leave, I was speechless. I knew this meant she wouldn't be coming home tonight, which only fueled my anger. I slammed my fist on the steering wheel and swore under my breath. I didn't go home. I drove straight to her parents' house. I hadn't called ahead, so my sudden arrival clearly surprised her mother, who was busy in the kitchen. Frank, our son-in-law is here, she called out to Bella's dad. Her father was in the living room, playing with my brother-in-law's kid. He glanced at me once, then turned away without a word. He'd never liked me. Dad, Mom, I said, looking around as if searching for someone. Is Bella not here? Her mother shook her head. No, she's not. I was just wondering why you came alone. Don't have to ask. They must have had another fight. Her father chimed in, his face souring. He'd held a grudge against me ever since a previous argument Bella and I had here. He'd never shown me a pleasant face since. I didn't confirm or deny it. I just sat down on the sofa and stayed silent. Unlike her husband, Bella's mother was reasonable. She sat down next to me, her voice kind. You two can't be fighting all the time. How are you supposed to build a life like that? What was it about this time? Her father, clearly annoyed by his wife's gentle tone toward me, snorted. What else could it be? He's probably found something new to complain about with our daughter. I resented that remark. I had never complained about Bella before that one time, and he was already painting me as the villain. It was because of a stupid fight we'd had here once. I'd simply commented that she didn't need to get dolled up just to visit her parents. She took offense, things escalated, and I ended up yelling at her. That day, I made an enemy of my father-in-law. Tonight was no different, but I didn't care. I had come here for one reason, to get answers. No, Dad, Mom. This time it's because Bella, she's cheating on me. I didn't beat around the bush. I laid it all out there. Her parents were educated people. Her father, especially, was a retired psychology professor. I expected them to be shocked, to be horrified that their daughter would do something so morally bankrupt. But to my astonishment, they had almost no reaction. Her father, in particular, looked completely unfazed. Their placid response was more unsettling than an outburst. "Dad, Mom, Bella cheated on me. Don't you have anything to say?" I had to ask again, wondering if they'd misheard me or simply hadn't processed it. Her mother glanced at her husband before speaking. "Ethan, we know what kind of person Bella is better than you do. You shouldn't let your imagination run away with you. It's not true. I don't know what's gotten into you, son," her father added, finally turning his full, condescending attention to me. "Always stirring up these baseless dramas. Don't you have anything better to do?" Then he delivered the final blow. "You should see a therapist, you know that." I knew they wouldn't believe me. Good thing I had proof. I pulled out my phone, ready to show them the picture I'd taken, when the front door opened and Bella walked in. Perfect timing, I thought. Now we can have this out, face to face. Bella didn't look surprised to see me. It was as if she'd expected I'd come here to cause a scene. "You got here fast," she said flatly. I stood up, grabbed her by the arm, and pulled her forward. "You're damn right I did," I said, my voice shaking with rage. "I just told your parents, and they don't believe me." She actually managed a bitter laugh. "Ethan, this is something for us to deal with. What are you doing, coming here in the middle of the night to drag my parents into it? You're losing your mind." The fact that she showed no remorse at all felt like my heart was being ripped out. "What am I doing? She's their daughter. She cheated on me. I came here to get some goddamn answers, and that seems perfectly reasonable to me. Stop spewing nonsense. If you're going to keep acting crazy, then get the hell out," she shouted, gesturing toward the door. I turned my attention back to her parents and held out my phone, displaying the picture I'd taken that afternoon. "Dad, Mom, look at this. This is your precious daughter. Right after lunch, instead of going back to work, she's off to a hotel with another man. Utterly shameless. I want a divorce." Hearing the word divorce, Bella hesitated for a moment. Then a look of resignation crossed her face. "Fine, Ethan. So you followed me? What if I did? It's the only way I could have caught you red-handed." I shot back, a mix of triumph and fury swirling inside me. "And which one of your eyes saw me do anything wrong?" she demanded, still refusing to admit it. "You were at a hotel." "A hotel." My father-in-law, after glancing at the photo, silently took his grandson and left the room. My mother-in-law looked from me to her daughter. "Bella, what is this? Is it true?" Bella shook her head, a wry smile on her face. "Mom, it's nothing. That man is a colleague from work. We just went there for coffee. I had no idea Ethan was following me and taking pictures. It's all a misunderstanding." I was speechless. "Coffee? There's a Starbucks right in our office building, and you go all the way to the Lakeshore Grand? With another man? Who's going to believe that, Bella? You can't even come up with a believable lie. Believe it or not, I don't care. Now, get out. The sight of you makes me sick," she snapped, then turned and walked into her bedroom, slamming the door behind her. Her mother quickly pulled me back to the sofa, trying to placate me. "Ethan, calm down. Don't get so angry. A husband and wife have to find a way to make things work. She cheated on me. How are we supposed to make that work? It's over. I want a divorce." I yelled toward the closed bedroom door, feeling like a madman. There was no response from Bella. Instead, my father-in-law came back into the room. He adjusted his glasses and pointed a finger at my head. "Fine, then get divorced. It's for the best. It's just an affair. What's the big deal? Did you really think no one else would want our Bella but you?" I had assumed my father-in-law, the intellectual, the professor of psychology, would have a strong moral compass. I thought he'd tear into his own daughter, shame her for what she'd done. But instead, father and daughter were a united front against me. It was infuriating. "Dad, are you even hearing yourself?" My mother-in-law, afraid the commotion would attract the neighbors, shot her husband a token glare and then turned to me with a soothing voice. "Ethan, we're all family here. We should be civil. We don't want the neighbors to have something to gossip about." I was ready to have it out with her father, but her calm demeanor disarmed me. "Mom, She looked at me with genuine sympathy. "You go home for now. I'll talk to Bella. If she's really done something to wrong you, then I'll support your decision to divorce." "Mom, the thing is..." "That's enough. You go home. Leave this to me. Bella has a temper like a firecracker. I'm the only one who can handle her. Don't worry. I promise I'll get you an explanation." Seeing her sincerity, I couldn't argue any further. I nodded, let out a heavy sigh, and left. Back at our apartment, the anger just kept building. Why was it that my wife was the one who cheated, but her father attacked me instead of his own daughter? So much for a psychology professor, a so-called intellectual. What a hypocrite. I spent the night drinking alone. I checked the time. It was almost midnight, and Bella still wasn't home. A knot of anxiety tightened in my chest. I picked up my phone, my thumb hovering over the call button on her contact, but then I put it down. Before, when the truth was just a suspicion, there were still things we could say to each other. But now that everything was out in the open, I didn't know what was left to say. I stared at her profile picture on my phone. So sexy, so stunning. Anyone else would be showing her off, but looking at it now just left a bitter taste in my mouth. A woman like that, she makes you feel insecure. I chugged another half a bottle of whiskey and was scrolling aimlessly when I saw her Instagram story pop up. She posted a new photo. It was a sultry selfie, captioned, "Bad mood. Needed a night out." The background was clearly a high-end bar, and through the window behind her, you could see the glittering skyline of downtown Chicago, with the iconic Willis Tower piercing the night sky. It was the middle of the night. Instead of coming home, she was out drinking. On impulse, I opened Frank Zimmerman's Instagram profile, and there it was. The bastard had posted a story too. What infuriated me wasn't his ugly smirk, but the location tag he deliberately included in the post, the Apex Hotel. I couldn't believe it. This guy wasn't much to look at, but he sure knew how to live it up. A thought struck me. I quickly Googled the hotel. It was a luxury high-rise, and its 65th floor was home to a famous rooftop bar. The hotel's promotional photos featured multiple shots of the Chicago skyline, and the view was identical to the one in Bella's selfie. My God, the dog couple. My world, which had already crumbled, collapsed into dust. After the pain came a cold, hard clarity. A vicious thought, one I'd never had before, began to form in my mind. I was going to get revenge on both of them. I didn't sleep a wink. The next morning, I didn't even bother to shower. I went to work with my hair a mess, looking like I'd been dragged through a hedge backward. I used to care about my appearance, but what Bella and Frank had done to me was a blow I couldn't absorb. If she'd chosen anyone else, I might have just yelled, fought, and then divorced her. But she chose my sworn enemy. I had to make Frank pay. I got to the office and skipped the morning huddle. I sat at my desk, waiting. I was waiting for Frank. Just like the day before, he and my wife stepped out of the elevator at the same time. If I could stomach it yesterday, today was different. Today, I was out of patience. "Zimmerman, you finally decided to show up. I've been waiting for you." I launched myself at him, putting all my weight into a punch that landed square on his jaw. Bella screamed, "Ethan, are you insane? What are you doing? What do you think I'm doing? I'm going to beat the hell out of this son of a bitch." I lunged at Frank again, slamming him against the wall and landing another hard punch. Frank clearly hadn't expected this. 2 sucker punches right after getting off the elevator. He stared at me like I was a wild animal, a madman who had lost all reason. "Ethan, man, let's talk this out. Don't get physical. This is the office. People are watching." I grabbed him by the collar, my grip tightening, wanted to choke the life out of him. "You sleep with my wife, and you tell me not to hit you? What kind of logic is that? I'm going to kill you." But Frank was no pushover. He was a big guy, built like a bear. He managed to break free, and then he started swinging back. We tumbled out of the elevator lobby and into the main office space. I didn't care about anything anymore. Not my senior manager title, not my future as a potential executive, none of it. I wasn't afraid of the gossip or the stares from my colleagues. All I wanted was to make this cheating pair pay. "Ethan, stop. Stop it. You're going to kill him." Jenna cried from the sidelines, wringing her hands in panic. I took advantage of Frank's momentary distraction and landed another punch, this one on his nose. "Last time I hit you, you didn't learn a damn thing. This time, I'm going to finish the job." "Ethan, have you lost your mind? Stop it right now, or I'm calling the police," Bella threatened, seeing the blood pouring from Frank's nose. The fact that she was defending him, completely disregarding my feelings, twisting the knife that was already in my gut. It was the ultimate betrayal. "You want to make this a bigger deal? Fine. Call them. Call the news. Get reporters here. Let's put you two on the internet for the whole world to see what a disgusting pair of cheaters you are." "You're hopeless," she spat, her voice filled with disgust. "You might as well be dead." Then she turned and walked away. It wasn't long before I heard sirens wailing downstairs. "Ethan, the cops are here," Frank taunted, wiping blood from his lip. "You want to hit me again? Go on. Let's see them drag your ass to jail." Before he could finish his sentence, I launched a flying kick at him. You all heard him. He asked for it. I have to oblige. A few of the onlookers actually chuckled. "You bastard," Frank screamed, pointing at me. He looked utterly humiliated, wishing the floor would swallow him whole. When the police arrived, they separated us and started taking statements, writing up reports. Given the circumstances, it wasn't just a random brawl. They tried to mediate, urging us both to calm down and find a peaceful resolution. I was still seeing red. I refused to reconcile. I'd rather go to jail and drag Frank down with me. If it meant mutual destruction, so be it. He slept with my wife. How am I supposed to reconcile that? Take some hush money from him? What does that make me? Frank slammed his hand on the table. "You have no concrete proof. Don't just throw accusations around, or I'll sue you for slander. Oh, you want proof? You think I don't have any? I pulled out my phone and showed them the picture I'd taken. Frank looked at it and laughed dismissively. Is that it? That's your big evidence? You know the saying, you have to catch them in the act. You have a picture of me and Bella from behind, and you think that proves I slept with your wife? That's hilarious. You were at a hotel. Are you going to tell me you were just there to chat? I balled my fists, ready to lunge at him again. A cop stepped between us. No more fighting, or this gets a lot more serious. Seeing my rage, Frank just smirked. We were just getting coffee. You're making a big deal out of nothing. You think I'm going to believe that crap, Zimmerman? There are 2 coffee shops in our building. Why would you go all the way over there? Your excuse doesn't hold water. What's not to believe? I have a loyalty card for Pete's Coffee. There's a Pete's on the ground floor of the Lakeshore Grand. Got it now. His answer hit me like a ton of bricks. I stood there, speechless. And what about last night? I pressed, scrambling for leverage. You were both at the Apex Hotel in the city. How do you explain that? Which one of your eyes saw that? If you don't have solid proof, you'd better shut up. If it weren't for the fact that we're colleagues, I'd sue you for defamation right now. Don't think I won't. You both posted on Instagram last night. From the same place. The background was the Apex Hotel. Try to talk your way out of that. Hearing this, Bella, who had returned, just looked exhausted. Ethan, you're sick. Do you have some kind of paranoia? You see something and you immediately twist it into the worst possible scenario. The Apex is a trendy hotel. I was in a bad mood, so I went for a drink and checked in online. What's the problem with that? Stop making excuses. You think I believe you? Bella, I could handle you betraying me, but I never thought you'd be so brazen about it. You're really something. Bella looked at me as if I were a lost cause and couldn't be bothered to argue anymore. This is so embarrassing. Think whatever you want. Even if I did betray you, we could just get a divorce. I've had enough of you anyway. You want a divorce that badly? So you can be with him sooner? I just don't get it. What does he have that I don't? He's better than you in every way. There. Are you satisfied now? She said, then turned and stormed out. Her words were like a shot of adrenaline. I started laughing, a wild, unhinged sound. That's Rich. Frank Zimmerman. This bastard is better than me. Hey, who are you calling a bastard? Frank shot back, jumping to his feet. Who do you think? I'm talking to the bastard in the room. The moment the words left my mouth, Frank charged at me like a rabid dog, swinging wildly. It was absurd. We were fighting again, right in front of the police. Driven by a pure, singular need for revenge, I didn't hold back. I didn't care about my colleagues watching, and I certainly showed no mercy. The officers, seeing that mediation was a lost cause, finally gave up and took us both down to the station. Maybe I'd hit him harder than I thought. At the police station, Frank's attitude completely changed. He insisted that I had attacked him without provocation, that I'd bloodied his nose and nearly knocked out his front teeth. He demanded I compensate him for emotional distress. I just laughed. The man sleeps with my wife and then wants money from me? Not a chance. I'd rather do time. And so, I was held for 5 days and fined $1,000. The afternoon I got out, the first thing I did was go back to the office. I ran right into Frank in the lobby. He was carrying a big cardboard box full of his stuff. The moment he saw me, he froze. I was still seething, so I tried to walk around him. I was afraid if I didn't, I'd end up hitting him again. But he stepped in front of me, blocking my path. Well, look who's out, he said in a snide tone. No shit. You think I was going to stay in there for Christmas? Frank put his box down and, to my complete surprise, offered me a cigarette. Ethan, I don't get it. Why do you always have it out for me? We're supposed to be brothers in the same department. You sleep with my wife and have the nerve to call me your brother? This isn't over between us. As long as I work here, I'm going to make your life a living hell. You can count on it. Frank just gave a tired, bitter smile. I'm afraid you won't get the chance. See the box? What? You're scared of me, so you're getting out before I came back. He took a deep drag from his cigarette and blew the smoke in my face. The boss still has your back. He fired me. Happy now. What? I stared at him stunned. Seeing the look of genuine defeat on his face, my anger softened, just a little. Ethan, he said, his voice low, after you punched me at the retreat, yeah, I held a grudge. I wanted to get back at you. I schemed and I planned, but I never imagined I'd be the one who got played. What the hell are you talking about? I don't understand. Frank sighed. I never thought your wife, Bella, was so calculating. I was completely lost. He looked like a man who had lost everything. Forget it. In this game, we're both losers. I accept that. Frank, what the hell are you trying to tell me? He stubbed out his cigarette, picked up his box, and turned to leave. He took a few steps, then stopped, as if he wanted to say more but couldn't. Frank, what is it you want to say? He just shook his head and let out a cold, sharp laugh. Ethan, have you ever considered that what you see isn't necessarily real? What? Or, he continued, his voice heavy with meaning, that what you saw was what someone wanted you to see. I was completely baffled. I had no idea what the hell he was talking about. Damn it, what does that mean? He didn't explain. He just walked away without another word. I stood there for a long time, trying to make sense of it. I couldn't. Maybe this was just his parting shot. A final, vindictive act of revenge, planting a seed of doubt in my mind that would torment me forever. The bastard. I hadn't even warmed my seat at my desk when the boss, Mr. Lewis, came over. He was usually a pretty easygoing guy, and I figured he'd come offer some words of comfort, seeing as I was the wrong party here. Instead, he just gestured for me to follow him into the conference room. When I walked in, Bella was already sitting there. I'd been in jail for days, and she hadn't visited once. I was sure she was deeply disappointed in me, but she didn't understand that everything I did because of her. Ethan, you're a senior employee here, Mr. Lewis began, his voice dangerously calm as he sat down. You came in here and just started throwing punches without a second thought. Frank was one of my best guys. Do you have any respect for the law for this company? His verbal assault was relentless. I was his subordinate, and I knew I was in the wrong for fighting, so I didn't know how to respond. Sir, do you have any idea how much damage your little spectacle caused the company? You think this is your house? People are laughing at us. You're a manager, for God's sake. You're supposed to have some self-awareness. How am I supposed to lead this team now? You tell me. I had worked for him for years, and I'd never seen him this angry. It caught me completely off guard. Sir, I know. I was impulsive that day. I was wrong. And a simple I was wrong makes it all okay. Do you know I had to fire Frank? I pretended I didn't know and said nothing. Before, I would have been thrilled to hear that Frank was gone. But for some reason, knowing he was fired didn't bring me any joy. Mr. Lewis turned his gaze to my wife. Bella, after all this, I don't think you can stay here either. Who knows how many people are whispering behind your back. Understand, sir, she said calmly. I was planning on taking some time off anyway. He nodded. Good. Take some time to regroup. Thank you, sir. Bella knew her cue. She stood up and left the room without another word. The office fell silent. Mr. Lewis didn't speak, just tapped his fingers lightly on the tabletop. I could hear my own heart beating. I knew what he was waiting for. After a moment, I made my decision. Sir, I'd like to submit my resignation as well. After what happened, I don't have the face to stay here anymore. Regret it. I gave a bitter smile. This is the price of impulsiveness. I guess it's my own punishment. So what's next for you? Find a new job? Start your own business? I haven't thought that far ahead. I'll take it one step at a time. All right. Well, if you decide to start something and you need capital, you can come to me. Thank you, sir. The tension in his face finally eased. He patted my shoulder. Don't be so formal. You've been with me for a long time. We're practically family. It's the least I can do. After work, Bella texted me. She didn't want to go back to the apartment. She said she was waiting for me at the Starbucks downstairs. I didn't have to guess what she wanted to talk about. Sure enough, the moment I walked in, she got straight to the point. Ethan, let's get a divorce. Maybe because I'd been preparing myself for it, I was much calmer than she expected. Okay. My placid reaction seemed to throw her off. She looked conflicted. I don't really want to, but my dad is very upset about you being arrested. Having a record could affect our future kids, so it was just a misdemeanor, a 72-hour hold. It's not going to affect our future children. She didn't seem to care about the details. Look, you wanted to divorce me anyway. Now we're on the same page. We don't have kids, so it should be simple. Yeah, it should be. Who should draw up the papers? Since the divorce was happening, the details didn't matter to me anymore. Whatever. You can do it. Okay, I'll handle it. And you know there's a mandatory waiting period now. I'll stay at my parents' place for the next month. I nodded. Fine. My detached attitude seemed to make her uncomfortable. Is there anything else you want to say? I shook my head. No. She looked me up and down. You know, when you're not being crazy, you're not so bad. I managed a weak smile. Is that so? She didn't answer. She just grabbed her purse, stood up, and walked out of the Starbucks. I watched her go, a strange, unidentifiable feeling welling up inside me. Was it pain? Regret? I didn't have an answer. After the waiting period, Bella and I met at the county courthouse to finalize the divorce. I had deliberately worn a crisp white shirt and a tie, the same thing I wore for our wedding photos. To my surprise, she was also wearing a white blouse, paired with a short, professional-looking black skirt. We hadn't coordinated, but on the day of our divorce, our outfits were in perfect sync. The irony was suffocating, but in a way it was fitting. Where it began is where it ends. The process was brutally efficient. The moment we stepped out of the courthouse, I felt a wave of emptiness. Bella, on the other hand, looked as serene as a calm lake. For her, I suppose this was a release. We were about to go our separate ways. I felt a sudden, sharp pang of reluctance. I bit my lip until it almost bled, then forced a smile. We were married, after all. How about a hug? It's the last chance. Bella shook her head. No, I didn't push it. Decisive. That's the right attitude for a divorce. No looking back, no regrets. Take care of yourself. To keep myself from breaking down, I turned and walked away first. As I pulled out of the parking lot, I saw her still standing on the sidewalk, looking down at her phone. I figured she was calling an Uber. I gave a short honk on the horn, a final goodbye. She didn't look up. She didn't respond. I knew then that it was truly, completely over. I slammed my foot on the gas and sped past her. In my rearview mirror, her figure grew smaller and smaller, and a sour ache filled my chest. My mind flashed back to the first time I ever saw her. She was stepping out of an elevator in a downtown high-rise, dressed in a sexy, professional outfit. Her flawless skin, her long legs, the way her hair moved. I was captivated from that first moment. I don't know if it was the memory or a desperate need to avoid regret, but halfway down the road, an obsession took hold of me. I had to see her one last time. I know, I was being a pathetic idiot. I made a U-turn and looped back around. As I approached the courthouse again, I regretted my decision instantly. Because I saw Bella walk gracefully to the curb and slide, with a practiced elegance, into the passenger seat of a black Porsche Panamera. It was my former boss's car. In that instant, everything clicked into place. My beautiful, sexy wife. Her psychologist father. Her kind, understanding mother. The oafish, idiotic Frank. My calculating, generous boss. They all seemed unrelated, but when you strung them together, they formed a chillingly elaborate conspiracy. A laugh escaped my lips, low at first, then rising into a hysterical roar. I floored it. The car surged forward, a wild beast unleashed. A surge of adrenaline I'd never felt before coursed through me, pushing me forward faster and faster. Yes, I was insane again.